Hi everyone, so welcome back to the AI Hello channel. So today we're with a guest and she has been working in the Amazon space a while back, but we are going to compare with how it was working back in the day compared to now. So Sarah, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So my name is Sarah, and I'm a product manager for a little over 10 years. I've been doing product consulting outside of managing. I actually started my own startup recently called Precidious, so it's a blockchain smart wallet. So that's in the making at the moment. Outside of that, I was in the gaming industry for quite some time as well, more in the Web3 and overall monetization business there for a bit. And currently, I am just working more so on my startup at the point. So, yeah.
That's really, really cool. So we're going to start with Amazon and we're going to talk about how the landscape looked like a long, long time ago. So in those earlier days, what do you think were the ingredients for success for the people back then?
Oh, definitely networking, I want to say, is a huge part of that. Just because in 2017, as an example, we didn't have AI as advanced as we do at the current moment in time. So networking was a huge part, especially where in the world you're working in Amazon. So I worked in Amazon in Singapore at that time. And over there, it's a little bit different than North America and the markets that are there. So networking was a huge part of it. I feel now networking is a huge part of it still, regardless. But I think back then you really had to put momentum into going out after work, extra hours into social events and gatherings, and then reaching out, like cold calling at times, even. Versus now, I think there's a lot of more applications out there that do 90% of that. So I do feel like there was a little bit more, tracking in real time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Would you say that PPC played a big part?
Yeah, certainly. I would say so. For example, for me, I was a PM for the marketplace, and I did a bit for emerging tech as well as a product manager. And so for me, when I was doing even the onboarding, onboarding in general, I feel like it's different when you were talking about the timelines compared to 2017 to now, 2025, for example. Um, Huge difference in just the way you're communicating with folks coming on. Again, we have so much more emerging tech that we did not have back then, and it was much more difficult. And the market opportunities as well were much more slimmer, and we didn't have that space to navigate as much. So I want to say there's a huge difference, like night and day. AI definitely was a game changer, is a game changer, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. I know that I heard like this one comparison, but it's kind of like running ads on Facebook in 2014. Like that time was amazing. Like you would have anybody just purchasing the product right away, but now selling on Amazon is like competitive. It's like it's like a little bit crazy compared to
Yeah.
before. It was hard, but at the same time, it was less competitive. Less technology, less competitive, but it was still a bit difficult as it's always is basically.
Yeah.
But compared to like today, what would you say that someone would have to succeed on Amazon?
Oh boy. So I would say 100% you need to at least secure getting some kind of, not certificate, but have the knowledge and base. So definitely know your product well. Know what you're selling, know what you're marketing, do your market analysis like properly, not just for the North American market, for like, if you're talking about Southeast Asia, for example, dive into that, get ahead of the game, know what's being released, not now, not for the summer, but like you should know the end of fall or even early winter at this point. Knowing the products that are going to be trending is a big, big, big factor. Just because I know the market trends will always be changing. So to get ahead of that game, it's always good to know them now and know who is going to be carrying your product. So if you're going to be selling to Amazon, are you drop shipping? As an example, I did drop shipping back during the pandemic lockdown. And for me, I decided to drop ship, for example, weighted jump ropes because everyone was working it from home and they needed something as an extra boost. Uh, just the small things like that, I realized, okay, well, what is the market missing right now? No one can work out. People are stuck at home. So I was able to market that for a while. Um, I think it really depends. That's a huge part of it is researching your own. You don't have to have a degree in that or know how to do. Just go on Google, do the analytics course if you need to do something small. Watch YouTube videos that are very, thoughtfully created and don't just use slang terms here and there. They actually talk about the breakdowns. I think those are just the small important things to have.
Yeah, right product, right time. That's 100%.
Yes.
I feel like that's like with every business, I would say. Like every business, it's really like it really matters on the product and also like on the time. Because if you were to like start something that like for example, Uber. I know that when they had the idea back in the really early stages of 2000s and it did not work out because it just wasn't the right market. It wasn't the right time. But then later as like technology improved, they became successful just like that. How would you say that the mindset of a seller has evolved?
Currently, right now, I think it's evolved because so many factors. Right now, again, going into AI, we have so many different applications open where we can just plug in, certain data. Like, this is the product I have. This is what I want to sell. This is the timeline for the first quarter, second quarter. This is what I wanted to launch. And just thinking about that out loud, where AI can actually convert that for you and have that all done in a quarterly manner for you versus, in 2017, that was much slower. You can't just plug it in into an AI model and have it done for you. I think that's the difference now is not to say it's a lazy way out, but it's more efficient. It saves you time. We're in a place where we can save so much more time by plugging in what we need to plug in. I think those factors play a huge role in how people are getting work done nowadays. That's a pro. I think the con is a loss of jobs in that space, just due to that from what I've seen. So I think as a seller, yeah, if you're gonna be funneling properly, you're gonna be using the right AI driven data models, you're in the right place. I think it's also being mindful of what kind of data, because whatever you put in, you're gonna be mindful that it's gonna be on there. It's not gonna just disappear tomorrow. So whatever you're putting on there, they now have the rights and copies when you sign off on certain models.
Yeah, for sure. And that was a good one. Would you say that a lot of people had like I would say, same, would you say that business owners and Amazon sellers have the same mindset on the same level, or would you say that it's very different, the two?
So I can see it from both angles. So someone who was more of like myself, I sold products during the pandemic, and that was just for personal, like a side hustle. Um, Versus working for Amazon, I think that you get much more for profit. Like you get many more tools leveraged towards yourself, and you get a huge database of folks and vendors at your doorstep. Um, and you have folks that you can work with in marketing and teams and that, in the design if you need to reach out to. Versus if you're just your single person trying to drop ship or sell your private item on Amazon, it's much more difficult because you're responsible for making, the GTN. So all the identifying barcodes that you have to match. There's a database entry, and you have to make sure everything is like done properly, registered. And then there's a lot more work that has to get done to that. The boxes, the sizing, the categories. It's strenuous and it costs a lot more. You're paying for extra memberships on that. And in the warehouse, depending on the fees, depending on the size of the quantity and all that, you're paying for that in addition. Versus the business side, it's a bulk. You're not paying for all those things. It's kind of done in a corporate level. Um, so I think the differences are, yes, you can reap your rewards personally on that level. As a business owner, independently, yes, but if you're working for a corporation business type, then you're going to get half of that back. But you're going to do more work as an independent.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think it would change in the next 5 to 10 years?
Certainly. Again, I'm always going to go back to like AI because I think that that's going to be revolving around what's going to be coming out in the next coming years. I think 100% by I don't know, 2030, we're going to have models probably out that will be doing all this automated. So you're just not going to have to plug in all that data entry points, stickers to put in there. It's going to be already done. You're going to have your product. It's going to be distributed on its own. Even for warehouses, I feel like that's going to be done in a different way, not manual labor. So I think it's going to be much more efficient. Again, the con of that is a lot of sub jobs.
Mm, yeah, for sure. So for someone who is like starting Amazon right now, do you think it's still worth it for them?
If you are very driven and you are able to keep consistent and have that time, then I think it is. There's some great products that are always trending, and they're gonna probably get even, more out there in the next coming months, especially if you're looking for something as a side hustle and you're just starting off. I think this is a great way kind of to segment into that. Again, I think the best thing I can say is have a budget, because if you don't have a budget in mind, you won't know how to spend that properly because there's all the costs. So I think if you research properly, put your budget in mind, and you're able to kind of allocate that accordingly, then yes, it could go, in a good place for you. But it's hard always to start off. I will say that. And if when you feel like giving up, don't just throw in the towel. Give it some time because stuff like that does take a while. You can't just have it overnight done. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think those people have to be like somewhat technical and like somewhat know how to like kind of do things with the AI?
Not necessarily, I think right now Amazon has a great they have a lot of tutorials out there too in how to like upload and how to create the product and give you the right resources. I think AI can help, but realistically, if you go to a Chat GPT or Gemini, whichever model that you prefer, you can basically ask, or give it a command of you want it to entail. What does it look like? What does your product entail? How do I, launch it into Amazon? Um, and they can take care of the technical parts for you. So I don't think you have to have it. Having it, yeah, sure, it'll make a difference, but no, you don't. I think a stay-at-home mom right now can 100% launch her products from home in her living room, doesn't have to do too much. It's going to be very simple.
Yeah. What would you say is your last words to someone who's like going into it right now? Your last couple words.
Yeah, I think anyone who's going into right now is a really good time, especially because AI is advancing. It's gonna be getting up there soon. Get into it and don't have fears to hold you back. I think that's what most people do. They have a lot of fears that set them back, and they feel like, oh, it's too much work. Oh, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough to get into this. No, you have the help. You can literally go online, watch videos on it, and it's much easier than back 10 years ago. So I think setting aside fears is the one thing I would say to anyone is you never know until you try, and if worst comes to worst, at least you can say, "Hey, I had this experience." That's all.
Yeah, for sure. I love that entrepreneur mindset. I love that. Never fear failure. You
Yeah.
mentioned you have a startup right now, right? Like in the blockchain crypto industry. Can you like elaborate a bit on that? I'm so interested.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for asking. So I started with a name and I couldn't figure it out. It was called Precidious, which is kind of Latin word for a locked-in infrastructure that they would have back then. So Precidious is a smart wallet infrastructure, and it's built for B2B teams. So it's mainly designed to stop wallet exploits caused by like human error, phishing, poor permissions, and I want to say and emphasize like what makes mine different is that I'm going to try to go beyond securing like the keys of who, how and why transactions happen. So that means that, policy-based approvals, behavior-based alerts, and it has a built-in defense system that's going to be against social engineering. So for me, we're kind of like Fireblocks meets Ops Genie. It's a smart wallet infra that prevents human-driven exploits in crypto teams, and I'm sure you're aware with all of the hacks that are going on nowadays. You hear about them left, right, and center all the time. And so for me, I'm trying to get ahead of that. I am a solo based entrepreneur in this right now, so it's still in a pitch deck. But if anyone's interested, I can definitely, they can reach out to me. I'll send you the website and someone can contact me directly if they're interested. I'm looking for angel investors at this point. So, yeah, if anyone wants to learn more, they can reach out.
Yeah, that's super cool. So it's basically, you said that this is like a smart wallet in a way in like the crypto industry. So what
hmm
kind of gave you this idea?
Honestly, hacks that are happening a
Mm.
lot. I have some coworkers and family and friends that have had this happen all the time. Like I'm always hearing this every week from someone, and I was like, man, and it happened to me. I finally got hacked at one point, and I was like, all right, you know what? Something's got to change, and I just don't see how people are putting in loads and loads of money, and then even with a good defense system you're still getting hacked and there's all these phishing scams and schemes going on. So I said, you know what, I would really like to take that forward and to see what preventative measures that could be had. I think that was it for me when I finally got hacked, and then I've had people around me just, you know, regardless. And the last point about that is I want it to be for B2B. So a lot of times in businesses that I've consulted with, they lack having something that's built on that. So whether you're using Hyperledger, wherever it's being built, so if it's Ethereum, regardless, I think the level of security on that is not being met, and people don't really have the knowledge of why it's happening. So that's where I want to come in and be like, hey, this is where I can help. And it's anywhere in the world. So I'm not just going to be based in North America. This is me serving countries all abroad.
Interesting. So I'm not
Yeah.
that familiar with crypto. I mean, not so much. So I know a little bit like the basic terms. So how does this like work in like kind like in like a explained in an explained way? Like how does this work? Like how does this kind of like help you and protect you?
Right, right. So I'll break it down to you, like for example, let's just say you're using your Visa card, like your regular, credit card, and I'm sure maybe you've gotten like fake spam in your inbox, or someone's tried to access it and they've had issues accessing it, or you'll get a call and it sounds legit. And there's a lot of that phishing scams that go on pretty much on a daily basis. So think of that in a multi-layer on for a business, a small business that's starting up, and someone is trying to hack into them, and they're trying to get data. Now, with a lot of B2Bs, they don't have the proper infrastructure to provide that. They don't really know where to go with that. Now, something like a smart wallet can prevent all that data. It kind of puts it in one place, and it prevents from that getting in. So someone penetrating into that information. When you hear about leaks happening all the time, it's usually due to security breaches that are not strong enough in the system or haven't been set up correctly. Um, the example I gave you with the credit card is kind of the same thing where, you have to have a really strong security network on your laptop from someone accessing, your information or your data. A lot of times people don't, they get lazy. They're like, all right, don't worry about it. So for me, I'm trying to help out the B2Bs before they're really going in deep. This is just to help someone who's basically doing a startup even. And for me, this is something that I personally have experienced. So I really want to give back to the community of folks who are delving into their startups at this point.
Yeah, that sounds honestly amazing. That's an amazing idea. So where do you think people can contact you?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll definitely send you my website. It's for Precidious. I have basically a white page set up right now. I have a pitch deck, and if anyone's really interested after they read my white pages, they can send me an email and we can do an exploratory call regarding Precidious and how to go from there. So yeah, that's pretty much very simple. It's very straightforward. Any questions that they have, they can connect with me. I don't have any social media link to it as of yet, just because it's still under construction a little bit, so it'll get there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Sarah.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.